There's a question that keeps coming up again and again at the moment, and I'm getting it in emails, in comments, in messages, and even from people in real life who have seen what I do with Self-Publishing Central and starting to get curious. And that question is Amazon KDP still worth it in 2026? Because if you spend any time online at all, you are going to hear very mixed opinions on this. Some people are saying that it is completely saturated now and the opportunity is past. Other people are still talking about it like nothing has changed in the last 5 years. And then there are people who are trying to start now and are sort of wondering whether they've missed their chance completely. So in this video, I want to talk through what is actually happening right now. Not what worked in 2019, not what somebody tried once and gave up on, but what is happening today on Amazon in 2026 and why people are still building real income from publishing low and medium content books. And I want to do this by showing you some real examples directly on Amazon so that you can see for yourself that these books are still being bought every single day, because the truth is the opportunity hasn't disappeared, but the way that people approach it has now changed. If you're new here, I'm Caroline. I'm a self-publisher who has been creating and selling books on Amazon for over 7 years, and on this channel, I show you how to do the same. I think a lot of the hesitation around KDP at the moment comes from the idea that everything is saturated. You hear that word all the time, and I understand why people think that, because if you go onto Amazon and type in something like journal or coloring book, you are going to see thousands of results. And at first glance, it does seem like there is no room left. But the thing that is really important to understand is that Amazon is not a small marketplace. It is not a little online store where a handful of people are browsing from time to time. It is one of the largest shopping platforms in the world, if not the largest. Hundreds of millions of people are going onto Amazon every single day, already planning to spend money. They're not being convinced to want something. They are there actively searching for it. They're looking for ways to help their children how to read or write. They're looking for something to help keep them entertained on a long flight. They're looking for a puzzle book for their dad for Christmas. They're looking for a logbook to help organize their small business. They're looking for an activity book to take on a camping trip, or they're looking for something to support a hobby that they already love. And books sit right in the middle of all of it. So when we talk about self-publishing on Amazon, what we're really talking about is placing a product in a store that already has traffic and already has customers. You're not building a website and hoping somebody finds it. You're not running ads to get people to notice your new Etsy listing. You're not trying to convince total strangers on social media to care about something that they did not wake up wanting that day. You are creating something that people are already searching for and making sure that it is available when they go looking. And that's why this business model is still so powerful. Now, when I talk about low content books, I am talking about things like activity books, puzzle books, guided prompt journals, planners, educational workbooks, coloring books, logbooks, would you rather books, handwriting practice books, and so many more. That's really just a few of the types of low content books that sell on Amazon. These are books where the value comes with how the customer interacts with them. They're not reading them start to finish like a novel. They are filling them in, solving something, learning something, tracking something, using them in a very practical way. And because of that, they're solving everyday problems. A parent needs something to keep their child occupied on a rainy day. A teacher wants something that helps reinforce spelling skills in a fun way. Someone is trying to stay organized. Someone wants to keep a record of something important. Someone is trying to learn a new skill and needs a simple way to practice. Those needs do not go away just because it's 2026. If anything, the demand for books like this continues to grow, especially in the children's education space, which is something I have actually been talking a lot about recently here on the channel as part of building more connected educational workbook brands. So let's take a look at what this actually looks like right now on Amazon. Here is the first example. We're doing a search for activity books. I just want to spend a minute here looking at the activity book space as a whole, because this is one of the niches on Amazon that continues to perform consistently year after year. When you type in something like kids activity book into the search bar, you can see how many results come up straight away. There are pages and pages and pages of these. And that is usually the moment where people think, well, this must be completely full already. It's oversaturated. But what is really important to understand is why there are so many of these books in the first place. Activity books solve a very real everyday problem for parents. They need something that keeps their child engaged without handing them an iPad. They want something that they can take in the car on a long drive, or something to bring on a plane, something to pull out on a rainy afternoon, something to help with learning in a way that feels a little bit more fun than homework. Teachers use them in the classroom, parents use them at home, grandparents buy them as gifts. They get taken on holidays, packed into school bags, brought to restaurants to keep kids occupied while they wait for their food. They are so practical. And because they are practical, they get used up. Pages get written on, puzzles get solved. They're not just something that gets bought once and then never again. Families often buy multiple books over time, especially when they find a style that their child enjoys. So when you see all of these listings here, what you are really seeing is demand. You are seeing thousands of parents searching for something that helps them in a small but meaningful way in their day-to-day life. And that is why this niche continues to grow. Now, let me show you a specific example so you can see what this looks like on an individual listing. On the screen, you can see an activity-based book, which is focusing on teaching how to draw cute things. And this book is designed for children in a very specific age range, ages 4 to 8, which is primary school aged kids. Kids that are probably just learning how to draw properly. This book is self-published, and the first thing I want you to notice is how clear it is for who this is for. The cover is not trying to appeal to everyone. It is speaking directly to a parent who has a child at a certain age of development. The title is clear, the promise is clear, the benefit is clear. A parent can look at this and understand within a few seconds what this book will help their child with. And when you scroll down the listing, you will start to see the signs that this book is selling consistently. The number of reviews, the overall rating, it has over 1,000 reviews with a 4.6 out of 5 star rating. It has the orange bestseller badge. And the fact that there are multiple books in the same style, this is part of a series, which means the publisher did not create one book and just hope for the best. They created something that worked and then they're building on it. Maybe there's a version for a different age group. Maybe there is a slightly more advanced level or a different style of drawing. Maybe there are other related skills that the same customers would be interested in. Now you are not just selling one product, you're building a catalog, a series that speaks to the same person over and over again. And in terms of whether this book sells a lot, we'll take a look at the bestseller rank, which is 272. And that means it sells around 5,000 books each month, and the royalties that the self-publisher is getting in their bank is around $28,000 to $29,000 each month for this one book. Let's look at another example. Now, I do want to show you something a little bit different. This one sits in the hobby space. If we move to the coloring book niche and take a look at the search results here, you will see straight away this is not a small niche. There are so many different options available for different age groups, interests, and skill levels. But again, the reason for that comes back to how these books are actually used. Coloring books sit in that space between entertainment and relaxation. For children, there's something creative to do that does not involve a screen. For adults, they are often used as a way to unwind at the end of the day, to focus on something simple and calming for a little while. Sometimes they're bought as gifts. Some are picked up for holidays or weekends when people just want something quiet to do. Parents buy them for school holidays. Friends include them in care packages. And just like activity books, they are not something that lasts forever. Once the pages are filled in, that book has done its job, which means if someone enjoys it, they quite often go looking for another one. You'll also notice that many of these books follow a theme: animals, mandalas, cozy scenes, fashion, nature, fantasy, or seasonal designs. And this gives self-publishers the opportunity to create related books that appeal to the same person's interests in slightly different ways. So again, when you see this many listings, what you're really seeing is a steady stream of people who are actively searching for something creative to spend time on. Now, let's take a closer look at one example so you can see how this works at the listing level. It is still a low content format, but it serves a completely different purpose. So instead of supporting early learning, this book is helping someone, a child, engage in an interest they already have. Again, the cover is simple, but very, very intentional. The title is very clear about what the customer is getting. And when you look at the listing, you can see that, again, this is not a one-off idea. There are other books that follow the same theme. There are 6 books in this series with the same style and the same audience or the same target customer. And this is where you start to see how people are turning publishing into something that looks much more like a real brand, because when someone buys one of these and enjoys it, there is a very good chance they will buy another one from the same publisher in the future. And all of that activity sends signals back to Amazon that this is a product worth showing to more people. Now, to show you what can happen when you build a series and build a brand. I went through the 6 books that are part of this series, and I used the bestseller ranks of each book, pop them into the book sales calculator, and this series as a total sells around 13,400 books every month, and the estimated royalties from that series that the self-publisher gets each month is around $54,000. Isn't that crazy? This alone should answer the question of whether publishing books on Amazon KDP is worth it in 2026. Now, here is a third example that shows something slightly different. Again, this is an educational workbook. It's teaching kids in lower primary school about sight words, which are an important step in learning how to read and write. This book, like the others we have looked at in this video, is self-published. And what is really interesting about this type of book is that it is not only evergreen, it also lends itself very naturally and organically to expansion. You can create different levels, different topics, you can create different versions for different age groups, you can create seasonal editions, and before long, you have an entire range of books that all sit under the same umbrella. They look related, they feel related, and they serve the same audience in different ways. So instead of uploading random ideas here and there, you're building something that grows over time. And that approach improves your chances of visibility on Amazon because your books begin to support each other. Someone finds one of them, enjoys it, and then clicks through to see what else you've published. Now, how well does this book sell? It has a bestseller rank of 488, which means it's selling around 3,000 copies each month. And the royalties that makes for that self-publisher is around about the $12,000 to $13,000 mark each month. And so when you look at these examples together, you start to notice some common patterns. They are very clear about who they are for. They are solving a specific problem. They focus on usability. The reader understands exactly how to use the book and what they will get out of it. They often sit within a niche that already has an interested audience, and they are rarely alone one-off books. There are usually other books that connect to them in some way, and that is what publishing success looks like now. It looks like intention. It looks like understanding your customer. It looks like creating something that fits into a real need in someone's life. And this is where expectations need to shift slightly, because publishing on Amazon in 2026 is less about uploading something and waiting to see what happens and more about building a small series over time. You create a book that serves a specific purpose. Then you think about what else that customer might need, and you create something that sits alongside it. And then you create something else. And over time, you begin to build something that is much easier for Amazon to recommend because there is consistency there. There is clarity there. There is a sense that this self-publisher understands the customers that they're trying to reach. So when someone asks whether Amazon KDP is still worth it this year, the answer really depends on how they approach it. For someone who is willing to take the time to understand a niche and create something that people genuinely want to use and build on that idea over time, this is still one of the most accessible ways and profitable ways to start an online business. You don't need inventory sitting in your garage. You don't need to pack and ship orders. You don't need to manage returns. You are creating digital files that Amazon prints and ships on demand. And once those books are live and available for sale, they are available to customers all over the world. If you're somebody who does enjoy creating things, if you like the idea of helping people learn or to stay organized or to develop a skill or simply have something enjoyable to do in their free time, if you want to build something that can grow steadily over time, then publishing low and medium content books on Amazon is still very much worth considering in 2026. Not because it's easy, but because it's practical, because the customers are already there, because the needs that you are solving are not going to go away, and because when you do approach it thoughtfully and strategically, you're building something that can continue working for you long after the book itself is finished. If you want to learn more about how to choose your first niche or what type of book to start with, I have other videos here on the channel that do walk you through that step by step. And if you would like to see more examples like the ones we looked at today, let me know down in the comments below, and I can put together another video where we break down some of the strategies that these publishers and self-publishers are using in even more detail. And if you did enjoy this video, YouTube thinks that you might like these ones too. So please go check them out to learn more about self-publishing your own low and medium content books on Amazon. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.